Welcome to Discussing Fitchburg Now. I'm Sam Squalia. We have an exciting show here. It's on the Fitchburg Airport and learning to fly. So the first half here, we're going to be speaking to the Fitchburg Pilots Association to talk about the Fitchburg Airport, the exciting things that's going on, and the exciting things that the Fitchburg Pilots Association is doing. And on the second half, we went up last fall, up in the air in an airplane on the scene and shot some cool footage. So we're going to play that in the second half. So up now, I have members of the Fitchburg Pilots Association. We have Patrick and Dave.
Good evening, Sam.
To be here, Sam.
Yeah. So the Fitchburg Pilots Association, right? Now, you help organize pilots within the Fitchburg Airport, right?
A couple of things we do, absolutely. Biggest thing is we love to get people involved in it. So aviation's exciting, it's entertaining, it's thrilling. So we're kind of a two-pronged association. We teach safety, we teach education and training. But then the other thing is kind of our community outreach aspect, where we do a lot of things with the Fitchburg area.
Yeah. So Fitchburg Airport, we have a lot of new exciting things going on.
We do.
We have that amazing new $2 million administration building.
Oh, it's pretty.
Yes. It is cute.
Yes, 2 and change.
Yeah, two and change, too.
It's a
Let's
very,
not shortchange it.
No, it's a very, very nice building. It serves as the administration center. It replaces a very old hangar that had been there since the 40s. So it's a nice upgrade for the airport, and it's part of the Massachusetts DOT's master plan to upgrade all of the terminals in all of the airports in Massachusetts.
Yes, it's very fancy. And it just opened a few months ago.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we have meeting space, offices, and there's going to be one area for rent, which is Fitchburg Flight Center.
Yeah, FCA Flight Center.
Yeah.
Yep. Charley Valera is in there with his flight school. He has a lot of activity, a lot of students, a lot of aircraft. It's great to be able to have a flight school on the airport. As pilots, we're interested in having new pilots.
Right.
Both to learn how to fly, to join our association, and just to share, I call the wonderful disease of flying. You know, we all share that same passion. You know, and anyone who has a passion loves to share it.
Yeah.
And we certainly do.
You've never been so excited about a $250 hamburger.
We try to keep it less than $250.
But you know what? It's the tastiest hamburger. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Just flying out, going to breakfast at different airport diners.
Right.
Well, that's the best part about it. It really is. You know, we do what everybody else does in their cars. We just do it with wings.
Except you can also fly as the crow flies.
It's a little bit faster to get where we want to go to, that's for sure. Plus, you get a much broader expanse of what you can experience. You know, there's a beautiful new restaurant up in Keene, New Hampshire. There's a wonderful ice cream place out in Turner's Falls, Western Mass. So these are all quick little trips.
In Jaffrey, you can walk right to the...
right to Kimball Farms.
Right to Kimball's.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's right next to the airport.
Very easy.
Down that kind of... If it's a windy day, kind of going sideways.
To land in the bowl.
Right.
There actually was a challenge this year that was put out by the New England Flying Association.
Yes. Yeah.
Challenging pilots to fly to 8 different restaurants in Massachusetts. And you could get a card and get a sticker at each restaurant. And when you completed your card, you would get a T-shirt saying, I met the challenge. So that's open until next June. So that's one of the fun things we do. For me, the thing I love to do the most is show young children, youngsters from ages 8 to 17. We run Young Eagles programs, and we give kids rides in airplanes for free.
Yep.
We do that twice a year, and the smiles alone just are payment in excess for the joy of showing
So
these
fun.
Oh, anything you can do to get the children down there. We run a Santa Fest every year at the airport. Fly Santa in on a helicopter. He's hanging out of the side of a helicopter, waving people 20 feet off the ground.
My daughter loves it.
Comes buzzing through there, gets escorted in. We've got music, and of course it's all free of charge. You know, the idea is we've got some phenomenal sponsors that help defray a lot of the costs associated with that. But the more exposure to aviation we can get out there to the folks, it's just wonderful. We'd love to get our ranks swelling. You know, we're kind of a dwindling society of people, so we'd love to get that number growing.
Yeah, and that old Ford tri-motor.
Yes.
That was just there in the last summer.
Yes.
And is that coming back next year?
We don't know yet. We're not on the list. Last year they asked us to host that a little bit late in the program. They had a gap in the schedule. That would be the second time we had the tri-motor. The Experimental Aircraft Association also has a B-17 bomber that they tour around the country, and we would love to get on the list to have that aircraft. Very historical. Obviously, the tri-motor is a very historic aircraft as well.
So the Fitchburg Pilots Association, you recently built a brand new hangar.
We did.
Right?
We did.
And you can store, do you rent out space?
We do.
To store
it
airplanes?
certainly helps. We wanted to make it big enough so that not only could we provide space for people to bring their aircraft in, but we have nice ample meeting space for the activities we want to do, Santa Fest, all those other things where we have folks coming down to the airport. We wanted to make sure we had a nice, sustainable area for them. So we do. We rent out some of the spots in it to local aircraft owners. So not only do we go out there second Tuesday of every month, 6 o'clock is our meetings time. You go into the building, we have these great meetings, but we're surrounded by airplanes the entire time.
So the second Tuesday of the month at 6 o'clock?
6 o'clock is the barbecue. 6 o'clock is
the
usually
food.
it is food.
Yeah.
In the summertime, we'll have grills out. We'll have hamburgers and hot dogs.
Ooh,
we
that
ask for a
sounds
little
nice.
donation.
It's nice.
Yeah.
And then we have a meeting at 7. Sometimes it's a business
Meeting at
meeting.
7.
Sometimes it's a safety meeting.
Yep.
Sometimes it's a nationally recognized aviation person. Jeff Skiles, who is the co-pilot of the Miracle on the Hudson, was one of our guest speakers years ago. We've had Michael Goulian from Plymouth, Mass., who is a Red Bull air race pilot and an aerobatic
like the flips
pilot.
and the tricks.
Yeah, the heavy-duty crazy guys, absolutely. Yeah, those are them.
Yeah, so, and that's part of, someone like Michael will do a safety seminar explaining why flipping your airplane upside down and spinning it all over the sky is not necessarily foolhardy. It's done in control, and it's done with safety parameters.
Hope so.
Flying is, a lot of people say flying's dangerous, and I would argue that it's no more dangerous than driving your car. It just adds the third element of height and altitude.
Right.
I think statistically flying is much, much safer
Yes.
It
than
is.
driving a car.
Because think about it. When you get into your car, are you really thinking about driving? When we're in a plane, that's what we're thinking about doing. We're thinking about flying and everything that could go on within the aircraft. So, as I said, the Fitchburg Pilots Association, one of the big things is education and safety. And so the majority of our meetings are focused around how do we do it better, how do we do it safer, how do we do it cleaner.
Yeah, absolutely.
So anyone that's interested in flying can join your meeting.
Yes.
On the second Tuesday of the month at the Fitchburg Pilots Association hangar.
Yes.
At the airport.
Yes, and people are welcome to come down, sit in, enjoy the meeting. You might get a business meeting, which can be kind of dry, but you can certainly see some of the airplanes. And we're just interested in aviation enthusiasts. You don't need to be a pilot to join the association.
Right.
If you're interested in the airport, if you're thinking about learning how to fly, it's a great place to come in and just start to absorb some of the knowledge and some of the lingo that we talk about as pilots. You don't have to be a genius. I'm a pilot. I've been a pilot for 30 years. It's possible. It can be done. It's like anything else that someone decides
Anyone
to
can
do.
learn to fly.
Anybody can learn to fly. Absolutely. I started when I was 13. It's all ages, male, female. As you said, that's the best part about the organization, too. I've only been a member a few short years now. But you've got all ages, men, women, pilots, non-pilots, aircraft owners, people who built their own planes. Yes, it's people.
The crazy experimental
build their
kits,
planes and fly
the
them
kit
crazy.
plane.
I don't know.
Guilty. I didn't build it, but I fly an experimental airplane. Yeah. And I like to get it upside down.
Really?
Yes. Safely.
I've never been in an airplane where I've flown upside down.
Well, we can arrange that for you.
We could get another unseen trip. I don't know if Dave will fly with me if we go upside down.
Well, this airplane only has 2 seats, so it's you and the pilot.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So people that are interested in flying.
Sure.
Right? Run through quickly. What are the steps? I'm interested in flying. What should I do?
Yep. Step
Do I
number
start
1.
looking at used plane magazine?
Come down to the airport, go see our friend Charlie over at FCA,
Yes.
walk in the door and say, hey, I'm interested in flying. And they'll sit you down and they'll give you the whole plan. It is not overly extensive. It is not years of training and schooling and advanced degrees. It's actually a relatively straightforward process.
Yeah, Charlie said it was about 40 to 50 hours.
Right.
It takes 40 hours by the FAA standards to get the ticket. Most people average around 50, 55, but that's it. So go down there, walk into the FCA and say, hey, I'd really like to learn how to fly. Sam told me I should come see you, so what can you do?
And they'll take
for
you
me?
on a discovery flight, which you will be in the left seat. You will be pilot in command in the left seat with a flight instructor. And you will be able to fly the airplane and experience it firsthand. And it's a wonderful way to say, oh, is this something I'm really interested in? And then you start with lessons. And it's like anything else. It's just a series of steps, and you build knowledge and you build skill. You know, how do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice.
Practice.
Absolutely.
So how do I own a plane?
You buy it.
You can buy.
That's
you
the
can,
secret. I've been.
So you can buy a
been
plane
like
without
years.
having a pilot's license.
Yes.
You can just buy a plane.
Yes.
What are we looking at for a plane? What's the cost to buy a general, like a Cessna Skyhawk?
Yep.
And what's the cost to maintain it?
A Cessna Skyhawk, if it's in fairly good condition, they haven't made them in, well, they haven't made them in a few years, but I mean,
I was just thinking like a standard.
A 30-year-old airplane, probably in the $30,000 to $40,000 range, will get you a good airplane.
So it's the cost of a car.
It's the cost of a car, and what a lot of pilots do is they'll get a partnership, and they'll get 2 or 3 people together to share the costs, which makes it even more affordable.
Because you're not flying the plane all the time.
You're not.
Right.
You're not flying the plane like you drive a car.
Right.
It's
And a
better.
30-year-old airplane is still plenty young.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
it is.
Because you have to rework the. You have to
There's
maintain it every year.
There's some
right?
pretty heavy safety
You have to
standards
rework the
associated with them.
thing.
Yeah.
So every year, the FAA will mandate that you do an annual inspection. And the mechanic, and it has to be an airframe and power plant mechanic, will basically take off inspection covers, take the cowling off, check the spark plugs, check the engine compression, check the pulleys and the cables and everything that makes the control surfaces work.
Safety first.
Safety first.
And that's every year you get that done.
That's every year.
Yep.
And depending on the airplane and depending on how well it's been cared for, it's probably $1,000 to $2,000 a year. And then, of course, you have fixed costs like insurance, fuel, hangar rental if you're in a hangar, and things like that. It's not crazy expensive.
Especially if you group with three
Right.
people.
Absolutely.
It's totally reasonable,
It
actually.
makes it very reasonable.
It's you got a lot of toys. You can buy a fancy boat. You can
Now-
buy snowmobiles. You can buy a plane.
Now, for television hosts, where money is not so much of an issue, you can certainly buy, a brand new aircraft, like you probably flew in a Cirrus.
I didn't get to fly in the Cirrus, but I heard it's
okay.
very fancy.
So a new
It's-
Cirrus
oh.
will cost you just shy of $1 million.
Million.
$1 million. That's about
Million.
930.
I'd need a lot more than 2 friends.
Yes. Yeah. But that's
Open it up to a big carpool.
so it's possible to fly. You can buy airplanes for as little as $10,000. You can build airplanes. There are
Like
kits.
a 2-seater.
Yeah, you can build a kit brand new with an engine for under $30,000. But you need to put it together.
Yep.
And there are also
And there are people that put their cars together.
Right.
There are.
Good cars.
There are.
And
You know,
because of safety in the FAA,
Right.
when you build a kit airplane, you are required to let the FAA inspect it at various stages as you build, so that it's not just
Oh, yeah.
anybody putting it together anyway.
It's under direct supervision
Yes, absolutely.
for safety.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And when we took our flight this past November, October, there was a Learjet, 45?
Yeah. If it
was a
was
big-
white.
Yeah.
A white Learjet.
It was like,
45, yeah.
ooh, we'll let him go first.
Yeah. That's
for
based.
For
That's
her,
based.
our planes girls.
Yeah, very much so, yeah.
So we let her go
Yeah.
first.
Flying is not a male. It may be a little male dominated, but by no means is it exclusive. I've had the pleasure. I took a young lady at age 16 for her first ride in an airplane, and she is now instrument and commercially rated and pursuing a professional pilot's degree in Florida.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Ah. Okay, so we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to cut to some PSAs, and then we'll be back talking with the Fitchburg Pilot Association. Hi, Sam Squally here with Walter Patton of the Wachusett Philatelic Society, a.k.a. the Wachusett Stamp Club.
Yes.
And we're talking about the What would you call yourself? What is it?
A philatelist.
A philatelist.
A philatelist.
That is a collector of stamps.
Yes.
Yes.
And I'm here to welcome every one of you that's interested in stamps or wants to start stamps collecting, that to come to our next stamp meeting, which is March 9th, the second Thursday of each month, except for July and August, which we don't meet. And there'll be plenty of people there to help you, give you information.
And so this is 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. at Our Lady of the Lake Church in Leominster. The Wachusett Philatelic Society meets every second Thursday except July and August.
Yes.
And we're not just talking postage stamps. We're talking all kinds of different stamps.
Yes.
Give me a quick list of what are some of the stamps.
Well, one of the things I collect is photographs. When photographs first came out in the 1860s and 70s and 80s, there was a tax on them. Every photograph you had, there was a 1 or 2 or 3 cent tax, and I have a collection of that. There was a tax. Well, we know today.
Voting stamps? Weren't there stamps to?
That I'm not familiar with,
No.
but there is a tax on everything, you know.
And you paid your tax and stamps.
You paid your tax and stamps. They actually had a stamp.
And right here, Walter has a Canal Zone postage stamp book, which is almost complete of stamps that you pay to take a boat across the Panama Canal.
Yeah, well, sort of, yeah.
All the way from 1924, 1909. This is interesting.
It is.
Yeah.
And we have many stamps to help you out, to get you started, and we hope you can come.
Yeah, so that's the second Thursday of the month at Our Lady of the Lake Church, 1 to 3 p.m., the Wachusett Philatelic Society, which is a stamp club, and everyone is welcome.
Yes, all the way till June.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Walter.
Thank you, Sam.
Hi, Sam Squalia here with members of the Disability Commission and the Arc of Opportunity. We have Carolyn Quirk and Nick Carbone of the Disability Commission and Maddie Merchant of the Arc of Opportunity. And we're talking about the Accessible Art Project. Why don't you tell us about that?
It's going to be March 4th, 1:30 to 3:30, and everyone's invited to come. You just have to call me to make sure that I have enough supplies for everyone. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be at the Arc of Opportunity, and we're going to be painting. We're going to work on abstracts. So I brought some samples, paintings. That's what we'll be doing in the class. And then if we have enough time and we finish with the abstract paintings, we'll do like a landscape.
Ooh.
Yeah, so a little bit of variety. And then what's going to happen is the paintings that we do in the class, we're going to use them, we're going to showcase them at the citywide disability event.
The Disability Awareness event, that's
Correct.
April 25th.
Correct.
At the Fitchburg Armory.
Carolyn, do you want to give the audience your number?
Oh, yeah. You can call or text me at 978-235-0062.
And so this Accessible Art Project is funded by the Fitchburg Cultural Council.
Correct.
And is Saturday, March 4th at the Arc of Opportunity, which is 564 Main Street.
Correct.
And what time is it?
1:30 to 3:30. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is this is put on by the Disability Commission, and it's accessible for all, but all are welcome.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, so this sounds like fun.
Yeah.
It does.
And so then the art will be showcased at the City of Fitchburg Disability Awareness event, April 25th at the Armory, which will be advertised more later.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Any other information?
Nope.
Okay.
Thank
you.
Sam.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks for having us.
And we're back. The Fitchburg Pilots Association. We have Patrick Daykin and Dave Babineau.
Yes.
Thanks so much. Okay, so I want to talk about all the cool events that the Fitchburg Pilots Association puts on, right?
Yeah.
So the first event that's coming up most recently is the Honor Flight.
Yeah, that's one of the big ones, and that's coming up. And this is probably one of the most spectacular events that are out there. Honor Flight is a program designed to take World War II vets. So we have this ever-decreasing population of World War II vets, the greatest generation. And what they do is they provide them an opportunity, a trip down to D.C. to go see the monuments, to go see the statues, to go see all of the elements that were put together in dedication of their service, them and their family, their friends. They transported somewhere in the neighborhood of, I believe, about 20,000 vets last year. They've got another 20,000 on waiting lists
So
this year.
this is like countrywide?
This is America-wide.
America.
This is America-wide. We look for all the vets, I say we, but the organization looks for all the vets across America that would like to go down to D.C. and do it. And I can tell you, I was down at Baltimore Washington International there when a plane had come in full of these vets. And it was amazing because the entire terminal stood up and just applauded them. There were just hundreds of people standing there clapping for a solid 5 minutes. I mean, the hair stood up on my neck. It's amazing. And so that's coming in May. And there's going to be a big event down at the airport for that. There's going to be a big pancake breakfast fly-in.
Something? Yeah.
There is.
There's a gala at the VFW in Leominster that evening. During the day, we're going to host a pancake breakfast at the airport. Fitchburg pilots will help out with that. And I believe that there are going to be some World War II aircraft at the airport, again, just to set the mood.
Yeah.
So like the bombers, right?
We're getting some support from the Collings Foundation in Stowe, which is very nice. They have a touring group of aircraft that they run around the country every year. And they give rides. They have a B-17 bomber, a B-25 Mitchell, P-51 Mustang. So if you want to spend some money and get a ride in a World War II aircraft, you can do it.
I kind of do.
So once in a lifetimer right there.
Yep. It is.
So, Charley Valera was telling me about the honor flight. So who is sponsoring that from it's the Fitchburg Airport, the Flight Center, the Fitchburg Pilots Association?
So I think it's a number of the organizations in coordination with the VFW.
With the VFW.
Yeah.
And Charley has been very instrumental in making this happen. I'm sure you're aware that he wrote a book about World War II veterans in the community.
Oh, yes. He's coming on my show later in March to talk about that.
Nice.
So there's an early plug. And that book was really great. And it reminds you of the people, just everyday people that went to war in World War II and what they did. It's humbling.
Yeah, it's a series. It's a collection of stories.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. My Father's War.
My Father's War.
Yeah.
Nice. Yep.
Yeah. The other thing we're going to do, and we do twice a year at Fitchburg Pilots Association, is we host Young Eagles flights.
Young Eagles.
Young Eagles, and that's our opportunity to take children from the ages of 8 to 17.
8 to 17.
Bring them for an airplane ride or a helicopter ride or both.
Ooh.
We have one of our members who has a Bell 47 helicopter, which, if you've ever seen the television show MASH, that's what it looks like.
Oh, it's like an Army helicopter?
It's like an Army helicopter.
Cool.
Most people have seen Santa hanging out of it.
Yeah.
Oh, is that the red one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I've seen that. Yeah.
So it's quite possible for youngsters to experience a helicopter ride and an airplane ride in the same day. We always look for really good weather conditions.
Yes.
The FAA has minimums for weather. Our minimums are much higher for Young Eagles events. I've said to disappointed parents and children, we very much want to.
Windy today.
We want to wrap you in the warm embrace of flight, not give you a cold slap in the face.
You don't want to be all jumping and
You don't want turbulence
scared
and afraid, right?
You got to use the barf bag.
Right. It should be a happy occasion.
It absolutely should be. It should be magical.
Yeah.
Flying's magical. So.
And the kids come off the airplane or the helicopter, and they're nervous getting in, and they come out and universally happy and smiling and so pleased that they did it.
So fun flying in an
is.
airplane.
So, a typical event.
And everybody looks like ants.
Typical event, 80 to 100 to 120 children will fly.
And in June, your Young Eagles event is wrapped up in the Aerofest, which you do yearly at the end of June sometime.
Yeah, the end of June. The Aerofest, that's the big opportunity once a year. We invite everybody come on down, come see the airport. Come on and let's get you behind the scenes. They go on big kind of tours around the airport, all sorts of demonstrations set up, lots of people to talk to about aviation.
Are there
Pilots
people
all over the place.
flying in with parachutes?
No, typically not. Typically not. You have to kind of close the airspace a little bit. Again, the safety aspect.
Are there people? Flipping?
We don't do that. We did have one of our pilots who has an aerobatic aircraft. He did some high performance takeoffs.
Oh,
so pretty loud.
Like straight up?
Almost.
Oh, cool.
Almost. So he did some of that. In order to do the aerobatics at the airport. Again, because of safety reasons, the FAA wants you to establish what's called an aerobatic box.
Aerobatic box. So you stop. You call the other planes to not fly in that box.
You basically have to close the airport for that period of time, and then
that makes sense.
And one of the The difficulties with Fitchburg Airport is that it's down at the bottom of the city. It's rising terrain all around. And so establishing that kind of an aerobatic box and maintaining safety is difficult.
Yeah, we're at the low point.
Yeah, we're way down at the bottom of the city. So it's difficult to do. But we have a lot of interesting things for people to see. We've got a little trolley. It seems to be, it's a tractor-drawn trolley.
Yeah.
It seems to be the biggest.
Absolutely.
Everybody wants to go on the trolley, and we take them around the airport and show them hangars.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes there are members that have their hangar open, and they'll give out ice cream or candy, and just to let everybody know
trolley
that
ride.
real people.
Absolutely.
During the Aerofest.
Yes.
During the Aerofest.
And so all of these events, you can find more information on them at the Fitchburg Pilots Association Facebook page.
Yes.
And on your website. What's the website address?
FitchburgPilots.org.
FitchburgPilots.org.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, great. And so we have the Aerofest coming up in June, and then you have another Young Eagles flight in the fall.
It'll be in the fall, typically late September, early October.
And then the big Santa comes in a helicopter.
Santa is early
every
December.
December, yep.
Yeah, early December,
Absolutely.
Santa flies in.
And what else happens during the Santa comes in a helicopter event?
Well, we generally will have an orchestra in the hangar playing
nice.
Christmas music. We use the opportunity.
Hot cider?
We have
Chocolate,
we have hot
coffee,
chocolate,
absolutely.
cookies, donuts.
Absolutely.
Gourmet Donuts in town has been very supportive of our efforts.
Oh, wonderful.
Other companies have given us donations to support it. I think BJ's has given us cookies in the past. So
Walmart's been a big sponsor for us
Walmart,
as well.
yeah.
So a lot
So
of
you can
local
come meet
community.
Santa.
Come meet Santa.
Yeah.
What we ask in most cases is we ask people to bring a toy and donate
For the
a
Toys
toy.
for Tots?
And
You
then
got
we
it.
give those to the Marines for the Toys to Tots program. So it's a nice way
That's
to
a nice deal.
it's a nice thing to do.
Yeah.
Meet Santa, get a toy to the Marines, and everybody gets happy.
Everybody wins.
Everyone wins.
Everybody wins.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So what kind of planes do you guys have?
Please.
I own the little experimental biplane. In fact, Charlie is
A
one of-
biplane?
a biplane.
You mean it has two wings?
Two wings. Yeah. Charlie is one of my partners in that airplane.
Oh, yeah? How many partners do you have in your
There
biplane?
are three in the biplane.
Three.
Yeah. So that's nice. I also rent from Fitchburg, FCA Flight Center. On
Oh, so you
occasion.
take take the Cirrus up when you
Yeah, if I
don't want
want
to
to
fly
take
the
the
biplane?
Cirrus or a Cessna, if it's bad, if it's cold weather, like the biplane doesn't have heat. So in the wintertime,
You mean you can't pump heat from the engine?
You can, but it's not equipped for that.
Oh.
It's open cockpit
got
most
the
of the
lower
time.
Oh, there's no...
There is, but we take
Can you
that
get a
off in the
glass?
summer. Yeah, there's one over. We take it off in the summer and just put the windshields on, so you're
Do you have those cool pilot goggles?
yeah, kind of.
And
He wears them to the
leather hat?
meetings. It gets awkward.
The
He has
bomber
them on
jacket?
Tuesdays.
Yes,
Yeah.
all those things.
Oh, and the aviator glasses?
Yes. Yeah, you have to have
You need the
aviator.
look. You
It's
need the
required
look.
by law. It comes
Yeah.
with your license.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The look.
It's that.
There's the look.
It's that last rule.
It's what it is.
Yeah.
And what plane do you have, Patrick?
I rent from the Flight Center as well, so they've got a fantastic array of aircraft to pick from. So I've always got somebody with me, so I'm always flying a 172 out and about.
Cool. Where's your favorite place to go?
Oshkosh.
Oshkosh.
Oshkosh?
Oshkosh.
Oshkosh, Wisconsin. So I flew from Fitchburg, Mass. last year to Oshkosh, Wisconsin with another gentleman in his small Piper. And Oshkosh
Piper's
is...
fast, right?
Well, no, it's about
Can
the
be.
same as a
Yeah.
172.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it took us about 9 hours of flying time to get from Fitchburg to... We had to stop 3 times for fuel,
So you stop every 3 hours?
roughly.
Yeah.
And then Oshkosh is where the Experimental Aircraft Association has the world's largest aviation convention every year at the end of July. And it is just the holy grail for people who are nuts about
Right.
airplanes.
15,000 static displays, hundreds of thousands of guests. Is just everything.
600,000 people.
Everything
So
has to
once
do
you
with
get
airplanes.
into flying, you really get into it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's really easy.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having us. Appreciate
Talk
it.
about the Fitchburg Pilots Association. And again, for more information on the Fitchburg Pilots Association, they post all their events on Facebook, the Fitchburg Pilots Association on Facebook, and fitchburgpilots.org
You got it.
is their website where you can find all their information. So in the second half, we're going up in the plane on the scene. So I hope you enjoy. Thank you so much for watching. Hi there, Sam Squalia for Discussing Fitchburg Now, and our show here is going to be on the Fitchburg Airport, learning how to fly with the FCA Flight Center, and we also have some coverage of our new Fitchburg Municipal Airport Administration Building. Hi, Sam Squalia here with Charley Valera. We're just about to take this FCA Flight Center plane up in the air, but right now we're waiting for the frost to melt. Why are we doing that?
Because when the frost gets on the aircraft, it changes the surface of the wings and actually the whole aircraft, but especially the wings in the tail section. As the frost builds up, it does add weight, but it also does change the design so that when the wind flows off it, it makes the air turbulent that comes over the wing surface. It's supposed to come over smoothly and not break off. And so it'll change the entire lift. So FAA as well as safety, no flying with any frost on the aircraft.
So we've turned the plane around, aiming at the sun so that you can see it's dripping off right now. So how long do you think it'll take for this frost to melt? So we're in the air.
Well, that obviously depends on what the ground temperature is. But relatively speaking, I would say this should be done in 10 more minutes, something like that, I hope. Not too long. It shouldn't take this long.
Okay, great. Well, we'll see you then in the air.
It's going to taxi now, go down to the runway. Because it's a glass cockpit.
Hey, Charley, so today we're taking up this 172, right?
Right.
Tell us about this.
Okay, it's a Cessna 172, also known as a Skyhawk.
Skyhawk.
A Skyhawk, yeah. It's a high-wing, obviously, aircraft. These are the predominant trainers. They really kind of do nothing wrong.
Why is it a good training plane?
They're real stable, extremely stable aircraft. I believe it's probably the most produced aircraft in history, or at least for general aviation.
So if you train on it and you buy a plane, this is a common plane to buy.
It is a very common, yeah. And almost everybody learns to fly in either a 172 or 152, which is a little bit smaller, but usually it's one of these.
So this is a 4-seat plane.
That depends on the weight.
Oh, yeah?
So it might have 4 seats or 4 seat belts, but it really depends on the weight. So with about 800 pounds total weight, it's like 815. It really varies on the aircraft.
So 800 pounds including luggage.
And fuel.
And fuel.
Right, so that might bring it down to 600 pounds, depending on how much fuel you put in. So you really have to, it's 6 gallons, 6 pounds per gallon of fuel. So you have to take that into consideration. So if you put in 40 gallons versus 20 gallons, you can change the gross weight of the aircraft based on your passengers.
We're taxiing? Are we taxiing?
Yes, at this point, looks as though we're just taxiing down towards the active runway. On the right-hand side, there's a run-up area, and that's where we're turning into now. This is where you go in and check your engine instruments, make sure that everything's the way it's supposed to be. Yep. Straight ahead, you'll see the potato chip factory. See the smokestack going up there?
Yeah, so you can see which way the wind's blowing?
Yeah, and then on the right-hand side is the windsock. So
yep.
That smokestack.
Dave's zooming in.
Yeah. Whoa. And you can kind of see that's the, you can see what the winds aloft are doing once you kind of break ground a little bit. It's a good little indication. You can see it's kind of straight up, so there's not an issue.
It's not a windy day.
No, beautiful day.
Yeah. We had to reschedule this flight a few times because it was so windy the other days.
Yeah, and this time was pretty close with the ice on the wings, and you can see there's still some water droplets that were on the windscreen, but they were all dried off by the time we got in.
Yeah, we're going to get some pretty good fall foliage up here in the air, though.
Beautiful.
Still.
Just beautiful, yeah.
Yep.
Sometimes there's deer on to the left-hand side. And
deer?
Deer. Yeah, you see all the woods there.
You got to watch out for the deer.
Always. And once in a while, we have a coyote that seems to live there, this big coyote dude. And he's kind of cool because he keeps the deer and the little critters away. So we don't have to feed them.
But
Here we go, looking at the instrument
there's our
panel.
basic,
We're still
yeah.
on the ground.
Yeah, yeah. That's the typical 172 interior that we use. It's a great trainer aircraft, as I talked about
Skyhawk.
earlier. Yeah, the Skyhawk. And so what I'm doing there is I'm doing a run-up just to make sure that the engine is working like it's supposed to, the oil pressure, oil temperature, RPMs, checking magnetos. As you can see, I'm checking everything to make sure it's
Safe to fly.
Yep, before we fly, shutting off the mags.
And you check the battery, right?
Yep.
Or is that the magneto?
No.
Oh, what is the magneto?
The magneto is, it's kind of like in your lawnmower when you get it started and it keeps running. It just, kind of keeps it running, so it's not running off the battery, but it's also running off the, well, that's what the alternator will do.
Right. So we're contacting air traffic control to make sure that no one's landing, and we're going to wait for...
No air traffic control there other than what we have as blind radio calls.
Oh, blind radio calls. It's not air traffic control. It's a radio system that everyone's listening to and responding to.
Right, and that's the system, that's the frequency for the Fitchburg Airport.
Right.
It's also shared with Concord, New Hampshire.
Oh, and we have our Learjet coming.
Yeah, it's a Lear 45 that
We're going to let the Learjet go first.
Yeah, we'll let them go by.
Yeah.
So anyhow, yeah, we do make radio calls to aircraft that are in the area so they can hear us and they know that we're taking off, which runway we're taking off, which way we're heading out. So if they're in the air, they can see us and avoid us.
So since our in-plane audio was a little lack, what would be an example of a call to the Fitchburg air traffic?
Once we get ready to take off, I'd be saying Fitchburg traffic, and then the aircraft. So it would be Fitchburg traffic, Skyhawk 9067902, departing
That's the
runway.
indication.
Yeah, that's the tail number. All
Tail
aircraft
number.
have to have a tail number. Doesn't matter which country they come from, but they all have a number on the tails. So I'd be saying Fitchburg traffic, Skyhawk 9067902 is departing runway 32 Fitchburg with a left-hand turnout.
Left-hand turnout, because it's always left-hand turnout when you take off? Is that what you said?
Usually. The only exception would be if the airport is specifically marked as a right-hand traffic, like I think North Adams and Falmouth and Pittsfield have what's called right-hand traffic. And the reason they do is there's big mountains in the area. And so there's restrictions on flying in that area.
Got to know your terrain.
You definitely got to know your terrain, yeah. And it's marked on your charts, and you become familiar with it. The good thing is mountains don't move. So once you know where the terrain is, for the most part, it's not an issue. I mean, trees don't grow up to 1,000 feet. Beautiful. And
Here we go.
He'll rotate right about now. Rotate is when you get off the ground.
What?
You're in the way.
I'm in the way.
And
There we go.
Yeah.
There it is. That's a nice plane there.
Yeah,
Do
that's.
you call it a plane or do you call it a jet?
Well,
Do you call jets a plane?
you can. Sure, they're aircraft. Something like
Like a
that.
boat or a ship?
What's the difference?
I don't know.
I don't either. But that jet's got a good range on it. I mean, it's probably like 1,500 miles.
There we go. The side view, the under the wing,
Yeah.
lift-off view.
Yeah, about
There's
that.
Fitchburg Airport.
We're probably doing about
We're
80
there.
knots, something like that.
80 knots?
Yeah, 86
There are all
miles
the
an
hangars
hour.
that you can store your plane at.
Is our crosswind runway.
Crosswind runway.
Yeah, we have two
Runway.
runways at Fitchburg.
20.
Yeah, and that's that coincides with a magnetic heading.
A compass heading?
Yeah, compass heading.
A magnetic compass heading?
Correct. So like
So
we
it's
took
not
off.
true 20 degrees?
We took off on 32, which is 320. Right. it's
320
compass.
degrees?
Yeah. It's compass heading. Beautiful day up there.
Yeah, it
It
is.
was gorgeous. Nice fall foliage.
Looks like we got some sand pits.
Yeah, that's right over the, near John Fitch Highway, I think.
Oh, there he's looking at him. Get the good views from up here.
Yeah, there's no hiding. It's really nice, though. You know, it's a great way to get around. It's a great way to just kind of relax a little bit and enjoy the flight. A day like today is just spectacular.
Yeah, you can never get sick of these views.
No. We're very lucky to have that here at Fitchburg and have the opportunity to learn how to fly so close. And it's so attainable. People think it's, you know, huge money and it's only for rich people. That's so far from the truth. You know, people spend so much money on things like motorcycles.
Right? Motorcycles, boats, jet skis, all the toys, the garage to store it.
Right. And, you know, the beauty to an aircraft is most of us own planes with other people. So you'll get maybe two partners.
A group plane.
Yeah, two or three people.
That makes sense, because you're not going to fly the plane every day.
That's right. And it needs to be used. You know, your boat can sit in the water and maybe you'll use it 3 hours a week. But you want to fly the plane a little bit more.
So it's better if you have a group.
Yeah, you have 3 or 4 partners.
What's that, Forest Hill Cemetery?
Yeah. Sure looks nice from up here, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Nice and clean and organized. Now, let's see. That looks like Cogsall, maybe? Or no?
Flat Rock? Overlooks? Is it Overlook?
Oh, I lost our bearings while
It
he was
looks
up
like
on
the Scott Reservoir.
Okay.
Or maybe that other one was Lovell.
I only know from the air. I can't get around on the ground, like driving a car. I get lost, like going home. But in the air, that's just beautiful. I mean, how do you explain that?
What is that?
Those just a
low cloud?
Yeah, it's a thin layer, just a very, very thin layer. And it's just, you know, spectacular.
Well, in the air, you got north, south, east, west.
Right.
On a road, you can't just go as the crow flies.
Well, even in the air, you know, you can go east only so far. When you see that big body of water, you got to turn around. That's the ocean. So you're 35 miles or so from the coast of the Atlantic.
What? How many miles?
I think it's about 35
35, huh?
from the air. I think I was telling you not to hit that red button.
Don't hit the red button, Sam.
Yeah. We're at 2,500 feet.
What's the red button?
That's the mixture that would shut the plane off.
Uh-oh.
So we're at 2,650 feet, 40 feet.
2,600 feet?
Yep. And now you're flying.
Ah, there I am.
Yeah.
Pilot Sam.
Uh-oh.
I piloted this thing
by.
like a charm. Look at me. Look at how straight that plane's going.
It's not.
Oh, it is.
On the left. You're turning to the left. You're climbing.
I'm trying to.
I had to keep pulling it back.
Yeah,
you were trying.
That was the goal.
You can see it turning to the left.
Yeah, I'm going that way.
Yeah.
I wanted to go that way.
Well, it's prettier over there. And that's the beauty of the general aviation. You can do that. You know, when you're flying on an instrument flight plan, using all the services that air traffic control has to offer, you don't get the luxury of just wandering around. You have to stay on there's highways up there. And
there's highways.
There is. There are actually highways.
At certain elevations and certain directions?
Yeah, certain altitudes.
Or GPS bearing points you gotta fly along, and then the same height?
Certain altitudes, they will give you headings. But they are highways up there. They're 8 miles wide.
8 miles?
And you have to stay within 4 miles on either side. Mm-hmm. But they're numbers instead of names. You know, they're...
The highways?
Yeah. So they're called...
Are they based on the compass?
Yes, they're all based on compass numbers. So Victor 229, a Victor is like the highway. So it's a Victor, and it's 229, which would be the magnetic heading.
Where are you going if you're using Victor 229?
Well, 230 would be southwest.
So, learning to fly.
Yes.
What's that entail? How do we go learn to fly?
Well, there's a couple of things you can do. The first thing that I like to have people do is take a discovery flight. And what that is it's about a 45-minute flight with one of the flight instructors. And you're going to learn the basics of climbing and turning and just have a little bit of fun in the air for about 45 minutes.
You get to fly like I did?
You get to fly the whole time. You do your takeoffs, and he's going to ride it with you to the landing. So you're flying the whole time like you did, only longer.
For that minute?
For that, you got 1 minute, right. You can look how cool the...
power lines.
Yeah, power lines.
They're manicured.
They sure are.
Okay.
So you take a discovery flight, you get comfortable with it, and then if it's something you want to pursue, and of course that is loggable time. So you have to have a minimum of 40 hours flying time. And
in order to apply for your license?
Yeah, in order to apply to take the test for your license. In the meantime, what we do is teach people. There's a beautiful GPS system. You can see it's got the position for
K-Fit?
K-Fit, that's where...
K stands for United States?
Yes. Yeah. Most of the airports in the United States start with a K, but not all of them.
But the tail number is an N for United States.
That's correct.
Or is that for North America?
No, that's United States.
What's Canada?
C? CA?
I wonder why we're N.
I forget. There's a real silly reason for it. So anyhow, you fly for an hour. You get...
Doing the introductory flight?
Right. And you decide that that's something you want to do. Then you come back and we start really teaching you how to fly and also the theory of flying. So there's some studying. There's a lot of studying. But the instructors are going to walk you through it. They're going to kind of spoon feed you so you're not overwhelmed with the information. And at some point you're going to need to take a written exam with the FAA, which you can't take until after you're signed off by an instructor.
So you take your 40 hours, then you get signed off?
No, you're actually going to be taking your written exam somewhere around maybe a 15th hour or 20th hour, maybe less.
So halfway through almost.
Yeah.
You take a written exam after you get signed off by the instructor to do that.
Yeah. And then once you get into flying a little bit more, you're going to get a little bit more advanced flying as well as ground school. So there's a lot of ground school, which is you're sitting there with the instructor on the ground and he's explaining what you're going to do today. Or maybe you're having a problem with navigating or understanding the instruments or understanding the engine and how it works and
how the taxiing works.
Yeah.
The air traffic control, how you call them.
Weather, any of that stuff. There's so much to it. There's so many. I think there's like a dozen subjects, and you already know a little bit about all of them. But it needs to be specific to flying. For instance, you know about putting oil in your engine, but you probably don't do it. You probably just have somebody do it whenever you get an oil change, whatever that is. But in an aircraft, you need to check the oil before you fly.
Every time.
Every single time. And you might have to put a quart in here and there. Well, you definitely will, because it does burn oil. It's also an air-cooled engine, so there's no water in the system. There's no radiator holding water that's used to cool the thing down. So you have to understand how to troubleshoot when you're in the air. If your oil pressure is off or temperatures aren't right, you need to know how to deal with that.
Right. So you need to learn a little bit about how to fix an engine, how to maintain an engine.
Yeah, how to troubleshoot it.
Yep.
And then, of course, there's always the weather. And weather never sleeps, always changes. This is a great day today. You saw a little bit of wispy clouds. Those are pretty, and there's nothing to worry about with those, really. But when you first learn to fly, you're really not in the clouds. You're well outside of...
We're lower.
You might be over them.
Oh, over.
You can go on top. And if there's openings, sometimes you can go through the hole in the clouds.
So you also have to learn how to fly in the clouds.
That's another rating, but yes. Yeah, that's an instrument rating.
Instrument rating. So first you get your visual rating.
Right.
Your VFR.
VFR, Visual Flight Rules.
Visual Flight Rules. That's here.
And then you get your instrument.
Private pilot license for VFR?
Well, yeah, that's an automatic. Yeah, you get your private, it's VFR.
And that takes 40 hours?
No, that's the minimum. National average is somewhere around probably 75. Where
So
you get
figure
them
on
done
75 hours of flying.
well, I think that's a little high. But, you know, we seem to be getting them done in 55, 50 hours. Some guys get them done in their low 40s. Sometimes it's in the high 60s. It really depends on the student and how hard they study. And some people don't show up prepared.
Right.
And other people are so prepared when they show up that it's...
They've been studying all week. Now they're ready to come up and try the flying in the clouds. They want to do this. They want to do that.
Right. There's a lot, like I said, there's a lot to it, but it's not something you're going to do in 3 weeks, but you could do it in 4 to 8 months. And the more you fly, the more you're at the airport, the quicker you'll get it. That right there is called a VOR, and that's used for navigating. And that's over Gardner right there. And so when you look up at night and you see all these aircraft all lined up, right over that is an intersection that we talked about.
So the VOR is at the intersection?
It's actually, in this one it happens to be that it is. But you see all those, those represent the 360-degree radials.
Okay, yes.
And so you would fly to it, and you can fly past it, and you're going to follow a needle that's going to bring you to it. And they're all over the country. They're all over the place. Those little Mexican hats. And so, but above it is the intersection that brings all the traffic into Logan.
Oh, that one.
Yeah, so when you're, you know, at night and you're looking up and you're seeing all the lines of traffic, that's where they channel them into.
So that's a federally maintained navigation beacon.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're all over. Sometimes they're right on airports, and sometimes they're like that one there. There's also one at Keene, right near Keene Airport, but it's, you know, you wouldn't see it from the ground.
Right.
But it's high on a hill, kind of like that one. And I think the altitude is about 3,000 feet on the two of them. Yeah, I think at 3,000 feet over the Gardner VOR is where one of the approaches would start. So if you're doing an instrument approach, if you're in the clouds and you need to land, you know, how do you find the airport? And then how do you...
The VOR helps track it.
Correct. And then how do you know when to start your descent?
So does the VOR work with the GPS, or those are two totally different systems? That's
correct. They are different systems, yep. The VOR is...
on the ground, the GPS is from satellites in the sky.
Right. Yep.
So where's a fun place that we can fly the plane from Fitchburg?
Oh, you know, within an hour you can be anywhere from Nantucket to maybe Sanford, Maine.
Within an hour?
Within an hour. And that's in that aircraft. That thing travels at about 110 knots.
You also have a Cirrus.
We have a Cirrus. We have two of them.
Which is faster.
Yes. We have a Cirrus SR-20, which goes about 145 knots, and an SR-22 that does about 175 knots. So a knot is a little bit less than a mile per hour. So, you know, you're doing 180-something miles an hour. And that really is through the air. Your ground speed...
It's straight.
Yeah, but your ground speed is different than your airspeed.
Oh, yeah, because it depends on which way the air's blowing.
Right.
If it's blowing behind you and pushing you, you could be going a lot faster.
Only over the ground, but not through the air. So if you're doing 120 knots through the air, but you get a headwind of 30 knots, subtract the 30 from the 120, which is 90, so you're really only doing 90 over the ground. But you're still doing 120 through the air.
Right.
Because your airspeed's not going to change.
But you're not getting there fast.
You're getting there slow, right.
You're not getting there as fast. Yeah. The miles are less.
We went down to Washington, D.C., my wife and I, and leaving from Fitchburg, it took us 2 hours to get to Washington. That was awesome.
So you had good tailwind.
Fast plane.
Fast plane, too.
Yeah. You know, 175 knots.
One time we flew to, what did we fly to? Martha's Vineyard. It took us like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
20 minutes, but on the way back it took like 45 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, you never win. You know, and if you can get a tailwind on both ways, you're doing real well.
Yeah.
If you stay for the day, you might get lucky.
20 minutes to Martha's Vineyard, I mean, if you drove there, we're talking 4 hours probably.
I wouldn't even
drive
go.
all the way to the Cape, and then you got to get the ferry.
Right.
Put the car on the ferry, drive the ferry to...
Yeah, aviation has opened up so many things. You know, Block Island. I had never been to Block Island before until I learned to fly.
So they have an airport on Block Island?
Yeah, there's, I think, 5,600 airports in the country. And most people are only aware of about maybe 20, 25 of them.
Right.
Because those are the bigger airports.
Logan.
Yeah.
Worcester.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, Chicago, Miami. There's
Wachusett Mountain.
Yep.
There you can see. Skiing will start soon.
That's about 1,500 feet in elevation.
1,500? Yeah.
There's the Fitchburg High,
yeah,
the old
that's
one on the
Fitchburg
left.
High.
That's Main Street.
It's downtown.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, that's downtown there. You can see Main Street. Rollstone Church.
Yeah. It looks like it's just a bunch of little toys.
Yeah, right? Like a dollhouse.
Yeah.
And this Fitchburg State University. With the
tower.
The smokestack that
Yeah.
you can't miss. Looks nice from the air.
It does. All the little houses. And their little wispy
They got some
clouds
solar
going
panels
by.
on there.
Yeah. Smart thinking.
Yep.
Uh-oh, time to turn. Keep us out of that stuff, yeah. So, you know, we were talking about people getting their licenses, and again, the more prepared you are, do your homework, maybe learn on a flight simulator at home. That would be, that
like
would
a
be
flight
real helpful.
simulator program.
Yeah, you know, they're inexpensive, and you can really learn a lot about the instruments. We can always tell when somebody's done a lot of that. That's Cogs Hall, I believe. You can always tell when somebody does a lot of flight simulator because their head is stuck in the cockpit too much instead of looking out the window.
Oh, really? Because you're looking at the instruments.
Right, and that's how they're learning. There's the Fifth Street Bridge over there. Yeah. And
That bridge is gorgeous.
it is cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
there it is.
Yeah.
There it is.
My old neighborhood down there. And there's the airport. So now we're,
There we go. Oh, we're coming into land.
yeah,
On what runway are we coming into land on?
3-2.
3-2.
Yeah. So right now we're going to start turning right, come into the pattern, and this is a time when it's usually pretty quiet in the cockpit, so we can keep an eye on other traffic and listen to the radio and look at the winds.
Fitchburg, traffic side, Sierra Papa's off Fitchburg, 1.5 for 3.5, departing in the area to the southwest. Fitchburg traffic, Cessna 96792, left base, Fitchburg.
Yeah. So we're landing southeast.
No, we're flying southeast.
We're flying. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
We're going in reverse.
that's Leominster's
Doyle
ball
Field.
field. Yep.
You can see the L. It's a nice L logo.
So the patterns are all rectangular, and so you're flying downwind, which means the runway's off to my left, and I'm flying parallel to the runway. And then once I'm past it, I'm somewhere just before Searstown. You take a left, and you square it off, and that's why that smokestack is out there to your right, because now we're turning. You can see that the panel is on an angle as we turn to the left, heading towards the runway.
We're angled to the left.
And you can see the runway right
There's the runway.
there.
And leveling off.
Not yet.
There we go.
Now, you don't always fly straight to the runway. See, right there's no wind, so it can go straight in.
Right.
If there was a strong wind from the left or the right, I would have to aim the plane in that direction. But you can see from the smokestack that the winds are straight up. And on the left-hand side, there is a...
It's 3-2.
Yep. I was going to say there's a windsock there that we can always take a look at.
Yep.
And another one to the right.
And
So let's see if I can squeak that in.
almost straight. We're almost perfectly straight up. Oh, there we go.
Beautiful.
And
Right on the line.
and we're landlubbers again.